The station floated in the darkness of space like a giant silver wheel. Lights blinked along its surface, and ships from dozens of worlds docked at its many ports. This was the Galactic Council Station, the most important place in the known universe. Inside, representatives from 47 different species made decisions that affected trillions of lives. Today was special. Today, humanity would join them. Park Ji-woo stood at the window of the human shuttle, watching the station grow larger. He was 53 years old, with gray hair and kind eyes that crinkled when he smiled. As Earth's Prime Chancellor, he had spent the last 15 years bringing all of humanity together. Before him, the nations of Earth had fought among themselves. Now they stood united, ready to take their place among the stars. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" said Yoon Hana, standing beside him. She was his chief diplomat, a woman who could speak 7 Earth languages and had learned 3 alien ones in the past year alone. "Beautiful and terrifying," Park Ji-woo replied. "So much depends on today." Behind them, Choi Hyun checked his weapon for the 3rd time. As head of the Chancellor's security team, he trusted nothing and no one. His 20 soldiers wore dress uniforms, but each carried weapons beneath their jackets. Choi Hyun had fought in the last Earth War, before the unification. He knew what happened when people let their guard down. The shuttle docked with a soft thump. The airlock doors opened, and a blast of cold air rushed in. The station kept its temperature low, comfortable for most species but chilly for humans. A creature waited for them in the docking bay. It stood on 4 legs, with scales that shimmered green and gold. Its eyes were vertical slits, and when it spoke, a forked tongue flickered between sharp teeth. "Welcome, humans," it said in perfect English, though the voice came from a translator device around its neck. "I am Skroth, War Master of the Vorath Empire. The Council awaits you." Park Ji-woo bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. Skroth's eyes gleamed with something that might have been amusement. "Of course you are. Come." They walked through corridors that seemed designed for beings much larger than humans. The ceilings stretched high above them, and the walls curved in strange ways that hurt the eyes if you looked too long. They passed other aliens, some humanoid, others so strange that Park Ji-woo had to force himself not to stare. A creature made entirely of crystal floated past, humming with inner light. 3 insect-like beings scuttled by on too many legs, their antennae twitching. A massive blob of translucent gel rolled down a side corridor, smaller blobs visible inside its body. "Stay close," Choi Hyun whispered to his team. His hand never moved far from his weapon. They entered the council chamber, and Park Ji-woo's breath caught. The room was enormous, with seats rising in tiers around a central platform. Hundreds of aliens sat in those seats, representing species from across the galaxy. Lights from different suns cast strange colors across the assembly. At the highest tier sat 3 beings who radiated power. The first was another Vorath, even larger than Skroth, wearing armor that seemed to absorb light. The second was an insect creature, its body segments covered in gleaming chitin, surrounded by a dozen smaller versions of itself. The third was a being of pure crystal, larger than the others, pulsing with inner fire. "The 3 dominants," Yoon Hana whispered. "The Vorath, the Klixen, and the Shael. They control the council." A chime rang out, pure and clear. The chamber fell silent. "Humans of Earth," boomed a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "You stand before the Galactic Council. For 100 of your years, we have watched your world. We have seen your wars, your struggles, your slow climb toward the stars. Now, you seek to join our community. Why should we accept you?" Park Ji-woo walked to the center of the platform. He had practiced this speech 1,000 times. But now, standing before the assembled might of the galaxy, the words felt small and fragile. "Honored members of the council," he began, his voice steady. "Humanity comes to you with open hands and open hearts. We know we are young. We know we have much to learn. Our history is full of mistakes, of conflicts, of times when we hurt each other and our world. But we have grown. We have learned. We have united our entire species under one banner of peace. He paused, looking up at the tiers of alien faces. Some watched with curiosity, others with boredom, a few with barely concealed contempt. We bring resources to share, knowledge to exchange, strong backs, and willing minds to help with the great works of the galaxy. We ask only for friendship, for trade, for a chance to prove ourselves worthy of standing among you. His words echoed in the vast chamber. For a long moment, silence answered him. Then the crystal being, the Shael representative, spoke. Its voice was like wind chimes in a storm. Pretty words from a primitive species. What can you offer that we do not already have in abundance? The insect being clicked its mandibles together. Your world is rich in rare metals. Your system has 3 habitable planets. These things interest the Council. Your friendship does not. Park Ji-woo felt Yoon Hana tense beside him. He kept his face calm, though anger burned in his chest. They were not here as equals, he realized. They were here as resources, to be claimed. But he smiled anyway. Then let us prove our worth through our actions. Give us a chance, and we will show you what humanity can achieve. The large Vorath leaned forward. Very well. We will grant you provisional membership. You will sign the treaty, accept our terms, and begin your education in how civilized species conduct themselves. War Master Skroth will explain your obligations. The ceremony continued for hours. Park Ji-woo met representatives from dozens of species. Some were genuinely welcoming, curious about these newcomers. Others barely acknowledged the humans' existence. The 3 dominants treated them like children being allowed to sit at the adult table. That evening, in their quarters on the station, the human delegation gathered. They look down on us, said Choi Hyun, his jaw tight. Every single one of them. Not all of them, Yoon Hana replied. Some seem genuinely interested in peaceful cooperation. Park Ji-woo sat quietly, thinking. He had spent decades learning to read people, to see beneath their masks, and what he had seen today worried him. The condescension he could handle. The contempt was harder but manageable. But there had been something else in the eyes of the Vorath War Master, something cold and calculating. Choi Hyun, he said softly, double the guards tonight, and tomorrow, during the signing ceremony, keep everyone on high alert. You sense danger? His security chief asked. I sense opportunity, Park Ji-woo said. And in my experience, when powerful beings see opportunity, weaker ones often get hurt. Far above them, in a private chamber accessible only to the 3 dominants, Skroth met with the Klixen Hive speaker and the Shale Prime Crystal. The humans are weak, Skroth hissed. Their ships are slow. Their weapons are primitive. And yet their system is rich beyond measure. The Klixen's antennae twitched in agreement. The Hive concurs. They should be absorbed, not welcomed. Their resources should be ours. Then we are decided. The Shael chimed. Tomorrow, during the signing, we remove this potential threat. The galaxy will mourn the tragic accident that claimed their leadership, and Earth, leaderless and confused, will fall under our protection. They did not know that Park Ji-woo's instincts were correct. They did not know that humanity had learned from thousands of years of betrayal and war. They did not know that while Earth's weapons might seem primitive, humanity had been hiding their true capabilities. Most of all, they did not know what sleeping giant they were about to awaken. Tomorrow would change everything. The morning of the signing ceremony arrived with artificial sunlight flooding the station's corridors. Park Ji-woo woke early, as he always did, and spent an hour in meditation. Today, humanity would officially join the Galactic Council. Today, everything they had worked for would become real. He dressed carefully in formal robes that blended Earth traditions from a dozen cultures. Korean silk formed the base, embroidered with symbols from every continent. He looked at himself in the mirror and saw not just a man, but the hopes of 10 billion people. "Ready, sir?" Choi Hyun asked from the doorway. "As ready as I'll ever be," Park Ji-woo replied. The security chief had dark circles under his eyes. He had not slept. All night, his team had swept the ceremony hall, checking for threats, finding nothing. But the worry would not leave him. They walked to the hall together, surrounded by security. The corridors were crowded with aliens, heading to witness the historic moment. Cameras floated through the air, capturing everything for broadcast across the galaxy. Han Mira, a human news correspondent, pushed through the crowd. "Chancellor, how do you feel on this momentous day?" Park Ji-woo smiled for the camera. "Hopeful. Today, humanity takes its first real step into the larger universe. We have dreamed of this for generations." The ceremony hall was even more magnificent than the council chamber. Its ceiling was transparent, showing the stars beyond. Thousands of seats surrounded a central stage where a single table waited. On that table lay the treaty, written in 47 languages. Yoon Hana was already there, reviewing the final details with alien diplomats. She saw Park Ji-woo enter and smiled with relief. Everything was proceeding perfectly. The seats filled quickly. Representatives from every council species attended, along with their guards, servants, and officials. The three dominants occupied a special platform that gave them a clear view of everything. Music played, strange harmonies that hurt human ears, but seemed to please the aliens. Lights danced in patterns that followed no rhythm. Park Ji-woo recognized. Then the ceremony began. A Shael diplomat floated to the center of the stage. Its crystal body rang like a bell as it spoke. "Today, we welcome the 48th species into our council. The humans have passed our tests and proven themselves worthy of this honor. Let their leader come forward to sign the treaty." Park Ji-woo walked to the table. The crowd watched in silence. Somewhere in the back, Choi Hyun's hand rested on his weapon. Something felt wrong, but he could not say what. At Earth's orbital defense headquarters, millions of miles away, Commander Kang Dae-ho watched the ceremony on a massive screen. He was a military man, hard and scarred from years of combat during the Unification Wars. Park Ji-woo was more than his leader. They had grown up together, fought together, built the new Earth together. "Historic day, Commander," said Lee Tae-young, who ran Earth's defense network. "If it goes well," Kang Dae-ho replied. Something in his gut twisted with unease. Back on the station, Park Ji-woo reached for the pen. It was a simple thing, made of metal from Earth, designed to work in any atmosphere. He touched it to the treaty and began to write his name. In a small office deep in the station's intelligence section, Kim Soo-ho stared at his screen in growing horror. He was a young officer, assigned the boring job of monitoring encrypted communications. For 3 days, he had been tracking an unusual pattern of messages between Vorath, Klixen, and Shael channels. He had thought they were routine. Now, with translation software finally breaking their code, he saw the truth. "Assassination," he whispered. "They're going to kill him." He ran from his office, leaving his station unmanned. Security protocols meant nothing now. He had to reach the ceremony hall. He had to warn them. Park Ji-woo finished signing his name. He set down the pen and turned to face the assembly with a smile. This was the moment. This was when everything changed. The Vorath Honor Guard moved forward. There were 12 of them, in ceremonial armor, carrying plasma rifles that were supposedly deactivated for the ceremony. They formed a line on either side of Park Ji-woo. "What's happening?" Yoon Hana asked, confused. This was not part of the planned ceremony. Choi Hyun was already moving, already reaching for his weapon. He had seen combat. He knew the look of soldiers preparing to fire. "Get down!" he screamed. The Vorath opened fire. Plasma bolts filled the air, burning bright blue-white. The first volley hit Choi Hyun and his closest guards. They died instantly, their bodies vaporized by the superheated energy. Park Ji-woo stood frozen for a heartbeat, his mind unable to process what was happening. Then Yoon-hana tackled him from the side, trying to pull him to safety. More plasma bolts followed. The human security team, those who survived the first shots, returned fire. Their bullets seemed pitiful against the Vorath armor, but they fought anyway. They died protecting their chancellor. Park Ji-woo felt heat sear across his chest. He looked down and saw his robes burning. The pain came a moment later, overwhelming and absolute. "No," Yoon-hana sobbed, trying to drag him behind the table. The ceremony hall erupted in chaos. Some aliens fled. Others watched with cold calculation. The cameras kept recording, broadcasting everything to billions of viewers across the galaxy. Kang Dae-ho watched his oldest friend die on live broadcast. He saw Park Ji-woo fall, saw the light leave his eyes, saw 34 other humans slaughtered like animals. His hands gripped the armrests of his chair so hard the metal bent. "Sir?" Lee Tae-young's voice seemed to come from very far away. "Sir, what are our orders?" Kang Dae-ho could not speak, could not breathe. Kim Soo-ho reached the ceremony hall 3 minutes too late. He stood in the doorway, panting, staring at the bodies, at the blood, at the end of hope. Yoon-hana was still alive, barely. Plasma had burned through her shoulder and side, but she had fallen behind the table, and the Vorath had not bothered to finish her. She crawled across the floor, her communicator clutched in one hand, leaving a trail of blood. "Earth," she gasped into the device. "Betrayal. All of them. They planned this. The Vorath, the Klixen, the Shale. All of them." Her message transmitted on emergency frequencies. It reached every human ship, every Earth station, every military installation. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session 30 minutes later. The large Vorath who led his people stood before the assembly and spoke words of regret and shock. "A terrible tragedy," he said. "A rogue element within our honor guard. We are investigating thoroughly. We offer our deepest condolences to the human people." The Klixen Hive speaker clicked in agreement. "The Hive mourns this senseless violence. We will help Earth through this difficult time." The Shale chimed with false sympathy. "We must ensure this never happens again. Perhaps Earth needs our guidance and protection until they can recover from this loss." They expected humanity to accept these lies. They expected Earth to be shocked, confused, leaderless. They expected demands for investigation, for justice through proper channels, for the slow grinding of galactic bureaucracy. They did not expect what came next. On Earth, Kang Dae-ho finally stood. His face was stone. His eyes were ice. When he spoke, his voice carried no emotion at all. "Emergency Protocol 7, he said quietly. "Mobilize every ship. Activate every soldier. Begin weapons. Release authorization." "Sir," Lee Tae-yang said carefully. "The Council is offering to investigate. Maybe we should—" "They killed my friend," Kang Dae-ho interrupted. "They murdered our leader on live broadcast, and now they lie about it. They think we are weak. They think we will accept their false sympathy and bow our heads." He turned to face his command staff. "Send a message to the Council. Tell them we decline their investigation. Tell them we decline their protection. Tell them that in 72 hours, they will understand what humanity does to those who betray us. And if they ask what we mean," Lee Tae-yang asked, "tell them they will see soon enough." Across Earth, alarms sounded. Military bases that had been quiet for years roared to life. Shipyards that built trading vessels began producing warships. Weapons that had been hidden, kept secret, began rolling out of underground facilities. The galaxy had seen Earth's diplomatic face. They had seen humanity's desire for peace. They had mistaken kindness for weakness. Now they would see something different. Now they would learn why humanity had survived 10,000 years of warfare among themselves. Now they would discover what happened when you killed the one man who had convinced humanity that peace was possible. In a medical bay on the station, Yunhana lay dying. Doctors worked to save her, but the plasma burns were too severe. She had maybe an hour left. She used that hour to record everything. Every detail of the conspiracy she had uncovered. Every piece of evidence. Every name of those involved. Her final words were simple. Make them pay. For Jiwoo. For all of us. Make them understand they should have left us alone. The recording reached Earth as she died. Kang Dae-ho watched it with tears streaming down his face. Then, he wiped them away, straightened his uniform, and walked onto the command deck. Open a channel, he ordered. Broadcast to the entire galaxy. When every species could hear him, he spoke. You killed our leader. You slaughtered our people. You broadcast it for all to see, thinking we would be afraid. You were wrong. In 3 days, we come for you. We will not negotiate. We will not show mercy. We will show you what happens when you awaken humanity's fury. This is your only warning. He closed the channel. The galaxy laughed. Humanity had 47 warship. The first day after the massacre, Earth was silent. Cities around the world stopped moving. People stood in the streets, watching screens that replayed Park Ji-woo's death over and over. Some cried, some raged, most simply stared in shock. The second day, the silence turned to anger. Protests filled every major city. People demanded action, demanded revenge, demanded that their government do something. The new chancellor, Go Dae-eun, had been Park Ji-woo's chief of staff. She knew what he would have wanted. Peace, negotiation, calm. She gave humanity war instead. We trusted them, she said in her address to Earth. We came to them with open hands. They responded with murder. So we will give them what they asked for. We will show them what humanity can do when we stop holding back. The third day, the fleets launched. Admiral Jang Min-ho stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Unbroken Will. He was 60 years old, a veteran of the last Earth War. He had commanded peacekeeping missions for the past decade, protecting shipping lanes and colonies. He had never wanted to fight again, but he would. For Park Ji-woo, for the 34 others, for Earth. Status report, he ordered. Captain Seo Ji-won looked up from her console. All ships report ready, Admiral. The fleet is assembled. Jang Min-ho looked at the displays surrounding him. 47 ships floated in formation outside Mars' orbit. To anyone watching, it looked like Earth's entire military might. Every warship they had. The galaxy did not know about the 300 additional ships that had been built in secret over the past 20 years. The ones hidden in asteroid belts and behind moons. The ones that used technology no alien species had seen. Begin quantum drive activation, Jang Mingyu ordered. The ships around him began to glow. Energy built up along their hulls, following patterns that defied normal physics. This was humanity's secret. While the aliens used jump drives that required days to cross between systems, Earth had perfected quantum tunneling. Their ships could cross the same distances in hours. All ships ready, Seo Ji-won reported. Destination locked. Voreth Home System, Military Station Alpha. Execute jump. Reality twisted. The stars stretched. And 47 Earth warships vanished from human space. They appeared in Voreth territory 72 hours after Park Ji-woo's death, exactly as Kang Dae-ho had promised. Alarms screamed across the Voreth military station. War Master Scroth rushed to the command center, still pulling on his armor. Report! He snarled. Human ships. War Master, a junior officer stammered. 47 vessels. Appeared from nowhere. Impossible. Their technology should not allow. I know what their technology should allow. Skroth interrupted. Mobilize the defense fleet. All 300 ships. We will crush these insects, and then move on to Earth itself. The Voreth fleet assembled quickly. They were warriors, proud and powerful. Their ships were massive, built to intimidate and destroy. Their plasma cannons could melt asteroids. Their shields had held against every weapon known to the galaxy. They faced the human fleet with confidence. Zhang Minho watched them come. 300 ships against his 47. The odds would have frightened a normal commander. But Zhang Minho knew what his ships could do. General Shin Nari, he said into the communications system. Your Marines ready? On the assault carrier, Righteous Fury. General Shin Nari smiled. She had been a Marine for 30 years, had fought in jungles and mountains and cities during the Unification Wars. She was 55 years old and could still outfight soldiers half her age. Ready and eager, Admiral, she replied. Commander Bei Wunshik, Zhang Minho continued. Weapons. Status? In the Weapons Control Center deep in the Unbroken Will's hull, Bei Wunshik ran final checks on systems the Vorath had never seen. He was a scientist who had become a weapons designer, the creator of humanity's hidden arsenal. All systems green, Admiral. Railguns charged. Antimatter torpedoes loaded. Directed energy weapons at full power. AI targeting systems active. 1. Zhang Minho nodded. Open a channel to the Vorath fleet. When the channel opened, Skroth's face appeared on the screen. The War Master was grinning, showing all his teeth. You dare come to our home? Skroth hissed. You will die here, and then we will take Earth for ourselves. Your deaths will be broadcast across the galaxy, just like your pathetic leaders. You should have left us alone, Zhang Minho said quietly. You should have accepted our friendship. Instead, you chose this. He closed the channel. All ships, he said to his fleet. Fire at will. The Vorath expected plasma bolts, slow missiles, conventional weapons. They got something very different. The human ships opened fire with railguns that accelerated metal slugs to a fraction of light speed. The projectiles crossed the distance between fleets in seconds and punched through Vorath shields like they were paper. Ships exploded, their reactors breached, their crews dead before they knew what hit them. Antimatter torpedoes followed, guided by AI systems that predicted every evasive maneuver. When they impacted, they annihilated matter and antimatter together, releasing energy that rivaled small stars. Entire Vorath battleships simply ceased to exist. Directed energy weapons, focused beams of pure power, sliced through armor and hull. The human ships moved faster, turned quicker, targeted with impossible precision. It was not a battle. It was an execution. Skroth watched his fleet die. In 20 minutes, half his ships were gone. In an hour, only 100 remained. His officers screamed orders, fired desperately, tried every tactic they knew. Nothing worked. The humans were too fast, too accurate, too deadly. Every shot they fired hit home. Every weapon they used exceeded anything the Vorath had encountered. Retreat! Skroth finally ordered. Fall back, too. A railgun slug hit his command ship. The bridge exploded around him. Skroth died without finishing his sentence. 4 hours after the battle began, it ended. 299 Vorath ships were destroyed. Their crews, over 100,000 warriors, were dead. The humans had let one ship escape. Let it run back to Vorath Prime with news of what happened. The human fleet had taken minor damage to 3 ships, 0 casualties. Zhang Minho stood on his bridge, looking at the debris field that had been an enemy fleet. He felt no joy, no satisfaction, only a cold certainty that this was necessary. General Shin Nari, you may begin your assault. The Marine dropships launched, heading for the military station. The Vorath defenders there had watched their fleet die. They knew what was coming. Shin Nari led the first wave personally. Her Marines wore powered armor that made them stronger and faster than any Vorath warrior. They carried weapons that fired smart bullets, explosive rounds, and plasma of their own. They hit the station like a hammer. The Vorath fought hard. They were brave. They were skilled. The human Marines moved through the station room by room, deck by deck. They used tactics developed over thousands of years of human warfare. They were ruthless, efficient, and utterly without mercy. In 6 hours, the station was secured. Every Vorath soldier was dead or captured. The station's databases were seized, its codes broken, its secrets taken. Shin Nari stood in the command center, breathing hard. Her armor was scorched and dented. 3 of her Marines had died, the first human casualties of the war. Station secured, she reported to Zhang Minho. Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. Humanity had destroyed the Vorath defense fleet. Impossible. The numbers made no sense. 47 ships against 300, and the humans had won without breaking formation. The Clixon Hive speaker watched the recordings in disbelief. They must have had help. Some species must have given them advanced weapons, but intelligence reports said otherwise. These were human ships, human weapons, human tactics. Earth had been hiding their true capabilities all along. Mobilize the Grand Swarm, the Hive speaker ordered. Every ship, every drone. We will overwhelm them with numbers. The Clixon had 2,000 warships. Surely that would be enough. On Earth, Kang De-ho received Zhang Minho's report. Victory, complete and total. The first blow had been struck. Good, he said. But this is only the beginning. The Clixon will come next. They think in swarms, in overwhelming numbers. They do not understand that we have been preparing for this. He looked at his command staff. Activate the reserve fleets. Send Admiral An Tae-ho to the Clixon border. And wake up Lim Sora. We will need her skills for what comes next. Lim Sora had been sleeping when the war began. She was a specialist in cyber warfare, a woman who could infiltrate any computer system ever made. She was 32 years old and had been preparing for alien contact since she was a teenager. When Kang De-ho's message reached her, she smiled. Finally, she said. Something interesting to do. The Clixon Grand Swarm assembled at their border fortress. 2,000 ships, ranging from small fighters to massive carriers filled with drones. They were the largest military force ever brought together by a single species. They expected the humans to run. Instead, a second human fleet appeared. Admiral An Tae-ho commanded 100 ships, emerging from quantum jumps in perfect formation. The Clixon attacked immediately. Their philosophy was simple: overwhelm, consume, destroy. Their ships swarmed forward like insects, firing from every angle. An Tae-ho split his fleet. Half went forward to meet the Clixon head-on. The other half jumped away, only to reappear behind the enemy formation. The Clixon were surrounded, and that was when Lim Sora went to work. From her console on Earth, billions of miles away, she reached into the Clixon Hive network. Their ships were all connected, all controlled by distributed intelligence that flowed between vessels. She introduced chaos into that network. False orders appeared. Ships reported enemy positions that did not exist. Targeting systems locked onto friendly vessels. Communication broke down into noise and confusion. The Clixon swarm turned on itself. While they fought each other, the human ships picked them apart. Railguns, missiles, energy weapons, all coordinated by AI that never tired, never panicked, never made mistakes. The battle lasted 19 hours. It was the longest engagement of the war so far. When it ended, the Clixon had lost 1,847 ships. The survivors, broken and terrified, requested quarter, begged for mercy. Zhang Minho, commanding the combined human forces, denied them. You gave our chancellor no quarter, his message said. You receive none. The human ships hunted down every survivor. It took 3 more hours. Oh. When it was done, the Clixon Grand Swarm no longer existed. The galaxy watched in horror. In 3 weeks, humanity had destroyed 2 of the 3 dominants' military forces. The Vorath were crippled. The Clixon were broken. Only the Shale remained, hiding behind their supposedly invincible crystal ships. And humanity was coming for them next. The Shale Prime Crystal sat in its meditation chamber, pulsing with inner light. For 3,000 years, its species had been considered the most advanced in the galaxy. Their crystal bodies were nearly indestructible. Their ships could phase through matter. Their weapons could shatter planets. They had never lost a war. Now it watched the reports from Vorath and Clixon space with something close to fear. Humanity was not supposed to be capable of this. The data made no sense. 47 ships should not defeat 300. 100 ships should not destroy 2,000. And yet, they had. We must prepare. The Prime Crystal chimed to its subordinates. The humans will come for us. We were part of the conspiracy. They know this. Let them come, chimed the War Crystal. Our shields cannot be breached. Our ships cannot be touched. We will show these primitives what true power looks like. The Prime Crystal was not convinced. But it had no choice. The Shale had committed to this course. They had helped murder Park Ji-woo. Now, they would face the consequences. The Shale fleet assembled in their home system. 500 crystal ships, each one a work of art and a weapon of war. They shimmered in the light of their blue sun, reflecting and refracting light in patterns that hurt human eyes to watch. They waited. On Earth, Kang Dae-ho stood before a holographic map of the galaxy. Red markers showed where battles had been fought. White markers showed human fleet positions. Blue markers showed remaining enemy forces. The Shale were the last of the 3 dominants still capable of fighting. But other species were watching, calculating. Some were considering alliances with humanity. Others were thinking about attacking Earth while its fleets were deployed far from home. We need to end this quickly, Kang Dae-ho said. The longer the war continues, the more opportunity others have to interfere. Commander Oh Ji-ho stood at attention. He was the leader of the Ghost Squadron, the best fighter pilots humanity had ever produced. He was 38 years old and had been flying since he was 18. Give us a target, Commander, Oh Ji-ho said. We will remove it. Kang Dae-ho nodded. The Shale think their ships are untouchable. Show them they are wrong. Nam Gung-hae entered the command center. She led Earth's Special Operations Forces, soldiers who specialized in impossible missions. She was 45, scarred from a dozen wars, and absolutely fearless. You wanted to see me, Commander? She asked. I have a special mission for you, Kang Dae-ho said. The Clixon Hive speaker survived the battle at the border fortress. He is hiding in a bunker complex on the Clixon colony world Tikra. I want him brought to justice. Quote, Nam Gung-hae smiled. Consider it done. 10. 10 down. 10 down. 10 down. Admiral Jang Min-ho's combined fleet jumped into Shale space 3 days later. They emerged at the edge of the system, just outside the crystal ship formation. The Shale hailed them immediately. Turn back, humans, the War Crystal chimed. You have won victories against lesser species. We are not them. We are Shale. We are eternal. We cannot be defeated. Jang Min-ho did not respond with words. He responded with weapons. The human fleet opened fire with everything they had. Railgun slugs, antimatter torpedoes, directed energy beams, all targeted at the crystal ships. The Shale shields activated. Energy barriers that could stop any conventional weapon known to the galaxy. The human weapons hit those shields and bounced off harmlessly. The Shale returned fire. Crystalline spears of hardened light shot across space, capable of piercing any normal hull. 3 human ships took hits. Their shields held, but barely. Analysis? Zhang Minho asked calmly. Captain Seo Jiwan studied her displays. Their shields operate on a rotating frequency. They shift thousands of times per second. Conventional weapons cannot match the frequency changes. 40. Can our AI predict the frequency? Working on it, Admiral. The battle continued. The shale ships began to advance. Confident now. Their shields were holding. They would destroy the human fleet, then move on to Earth itself. Then Jiho and his Ghost Squadron launched. Fighter craft were considered obsolete in modern galactic warfare. Ships were too big, too well shielded. Fighters were too small to carry weapons powerful enough to matter. Human fighters were different. Jiho led 60 fighters in a coordinated strike. They moved faster than anything the shale had seen, using thrust vectoring and inertial dampeners that turned them into impossibly agile weapons. Each fighter carried specialized missiles. Not large, not powerful by conventional standards, but equipped with AI guidance that could calculate shield frequencies in real time. The missiles locked onto their targets, waited, calculated. Then, fired the instant. The shale shields rotated to a vulnerable frequency. The first crystal ship shattered like glass. The shale war crystal watched in disbelief as its supposedly invincible fleet began dying. The humans had done the impossible. They had broken the shield technology that had protected the shale for millennia. All ships, concentrate fire on the fighter craft, it ordered. The crystal ships turned their weapons on the tiny human fighters. Energy beams filled space. Dozens of fighters were hit, destroyed in flashes of light. But Jiho kept flying, kept dodging, kept firing. Ghost leader to all fighters, he said calmly, even as death filled the space around him. Remember your training. We are humanity's edge. We do not fail. 43 fighters survived the first minute. 31 survived the second. 21 survived the third. But in those 3 minutes, they destroyed 43 crystal ships. Zhang Minho watched the battle unfold. Captain, Seo, have our AI learned the shield pattern? Yes, Admiral. All ships now have targeting solutions. Then, finish it. The human capital ships opened fire again. This time, their weapons synchronized with the shield frequencies. Railgun slugs punched through barriers. Antimatter torpedoes found their marks. Energy beams cut crystal hulls apart. The Shale fleet broke. They tried to run, to scatter, to escape. But the human ships were faster. The quantum drives let them jump short distances, appearing right next to fleeing Shale vessels. It was not a battle anymore. It was execution. The war crystal died when a railgun slug destroyed its ship's core. The prime crystal tried to surrender, broadcasting pleas for mercy on all frequencies. No mercy came. When the battle ended, all 500 Shale ships were destroyed. Jiho and 12 other pilots survived. 54 human fighters were lost. Zhang Minho stood silent on his bridge, honoring the dead. Broadcast the results to the galaxy, he ordered. Let them all see. Let them all understand. While the fleet fought in Shale space, Namgung Hai and her special operations team infiltrated the Klixin colony world. They came in small stealth ships, invisible to sensors. They landed in the wilderness, far from the bunker complex, where the hive speaker was hiding. The team consisted of 30 soldiers. All volunteers. All experts in infiltration, combat, and survival. They moved through the alien landscape in silence. The Klixin world was humid and hot, covered in jungle that housed millions of insect creatures. Any one of them might be connected to the hive mind. Anyone might raise the alarm. The team killed silently. Blades, not guns. Precision, not power. It took them 3 days to reach the bunker complex. It was buried underground, protected by thousands of Klixin warriors and automated defenses. Namgung He studied it through binoculars. Lim Sora, are you ready? Back on Earth. Lim Sora sat at her console. Ready. Give me 30 seconds. She infiltrated the bunker's computer systems. Security cameras showed false images. Doors locked. Life support systems began failing in guard stations. Confusion spread through the Klixin defenders. Go, she said. Namgung Hye led her team in. They moved like ghosts, killing any Klixin who saw them. They descended level by level, following the schematics Lim Sora fed to their displays. The hive speaker waited in the deepest chamber, surrounded by his personal guard. He knew the humans were coming. He could feel them through the hive mind as they killed his warriors. Seal the doors, he clicked to his guards. They cannot breach the final barriers. He was wrong. The humans used shaped charges that cut through the barriers like they were paper. They threw grenades that released nanites, tiny machines that ate through Klixin chitin. The final chamber fell in 90 seconds. Namgung Hye stood over the hive speaker. He was wounded, his guards dead around him. You killed our leader, she said. Broadcast your murder for all to see. You thought we would forget. Forgive. The hive offers surrender. The hive speaker clicked desperately. We will pay reparations. We will... No, Namgung Hye interrupted. They took him alive. Dragged him back through the bunker, through the jungle, to their ship. The Klixin tried to stop them. Every warrior on the planet converged on their position. It did not matter. The special operations team fought their way out, losing 4 soldiers but keeping their prisoner. When they reached orbit, the human fleet was waiting to cover their escape. The hive speaker was brought to Earth. Broadcast to the galaxy. Put on trial for war crimes. He was found guilty in 3 hours. Executed in 4. The galaxy watched and understood. In 3 weeks, humanity had destroyed 3 civilizations' military might. The Vorath were broken. The Klixin were scattered. The Shael were extinct. Earth had lost 143 fighters, 8 capital ships, and 473 soldiers. The 3 dominants had lost everything. Species across the galaxy began withdrawing from the Council. They sent envoys to Earth, begging for peace, promising they had not been part of the conspiracy. Kang Dae-ho met with each one personally. He listened to their pleas, their promises, their offers. The Council is finished, he told them. The old order is dead. A new one will rise in its place, one built on truth, not lies, one where betrayal carries consequences. What will you do to us? Asked an ambassador from a minor species, terrified. That depends, Kang Dae-ho replied. Did you support the murder of Park Ji-woo? No. We had nothing to do with it. We were not even told of the plan. Then you have nothing to fear from humanity. Go home. Wait. Soon. We will come to you with terms. Terms that will ensure peace and justice for all. The ambassador left, relieved. But Kang Dae-ho knew the truth. The war was not over. The 3 dominants were defeated. But the galaxy was in chaos. Other species might see this as an opportunity, might think Earth was overextended, vulnerable. They would learn the same lesson as the Vorath, Klixin, and Shael. Humanity did not forgive. Humanity did not forget. And humanity had only just begun to show what it could do. The Vorath alone had 300. The Klixin had thousands. The Shael were supposedly invincible. The human fleet arrived at the Galactic Council Station exactly 1 month after Park Ji-woo's assassination. 300 warships emerged from quantum jumps in perfect formation, surrounding the station from every angle. The remaining Council species watched in terror. Their own fleets had assembled to defend the station. Nearly 2,000 ships from 40 different species. It should have been enough. The Battle of Shael Space had proven that numbers meant nothing against human technology. Admiral Jang Min-ho opened a channel that broadcast to every ship, every station, every world in Council space. Attention all species of the former Galactic Council, his voice echoed across the void. This is Admiral Jang Min-ho of the Earth Defense Forces. You have 1 hour to evacuate this station. After that, any ship that remains will be destroyed. This is your only warning. Chaos erupted. Some species began evacuating immediately. Others argued, demanded negotiations, called for united resistance. The Vorath remnant fleet, what little remained of their once proud navy, positioned themselves in front of the station. Their commander, a general named Krax, broadcast his own message. We will not flee like cowards. We will defend the council. We will. A single railgun slug from the Unbroken Will vaporized his flagship. The rest of the Vorath fleet scattered. 58 minutes later, the station was empty. Ships fled in every direction, carrying diplomats, staff, and refugees from a dozen species. At exactly 1 hour, Zhang Minho gave the order. The human fleet opened fire, not with their heaviest weapons. They did not want to destroy the station completely. They wanted to make a point. Directed energy beams cut through the station's outer rings. Missiles demolished docking bays. Railgun slugs punched through command centers. In 15 minutes, the Galactic Council Station, the center of interstellar government for 2,000 years, was a broken shell floating in space. Broadcast a message to all species, Zhang Minho ordered. The council is dissolved. The old order is finished. Earth will establish a new government, one that serves all species equally, one that punishes betrayal with absolute force. Any species that wishes to join may send envoys to Earth. Those who refuse will be left alone. But they will sign non-aggression pacts or face the consequences. The message spread across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds. On Earth, Chancellor Go Daeun prepared for the arrival of alien ambassadors. She was not Park Ji-woo. She did not have his warmth, his optimism, his ability to make people believe in better things, but she had something else. She had witnessed his murder. She had seen the galaxy's true face, and she would make sure it never happened again. The first ambassadors arrive tomorrow, Yunhana told her. Yunhana had survived her wounds, though she would carry scars for the rest of her life. She had been offered retirement, rest, time to heal. She had refused. Park Ji-woo had been her friend, her mentor. She would see his dream of galactic unity achieved, but on humanity's terms, this time. Are the terms ready? Go Daeun asked. Yes, Chancellor. Simple and clear. Any species may join the Terran Concordat. They will receive protection, trade benefits, and access to human technology. In exchange, they agree to binding arbitration for disputes, mutual defense pacts, and absolute prohibition on aggression against member species. And those who refuse, they remain independent. But they must sign non-aggression treaties with Earth and all member species. Any violation will be met with immediate military response. Go Daeun nodded. It is fair. More fair than they deserve. Go Daeun nodded. The first ambassador to arrive was from the Velen Republic, a species of aquatic beings who lived in massive underwater cities. They had never been part of the conspiracy against humanity. In fact, they had argued against allowing the three dominants to dominate council politics. Ambassador Huang Jisok, a human diplomat who had studied alien cultures for 20 years, met them at the landing platform. Welcome to Earth, he said, using the translator device that converted his words to the bubbling language of the Velens. Chancellor Go Daeun will see you shortly. The lead Velen, whose name translated roughly as swimmer in depths, rippled with nervousness. We come in peace. We want you to know that we had nothing to do with the murder of your leader. We were horrified by what happened. We know, Huang Jisok replied. Earth has thoroughly investigated every species' involvement. You are not accused of any crime. The Velen relaxed slightly. Then why the weapons? Why the fleet surrounding your world? We will never be caught unprepared again, Huang Jisok said simply. Earth trusted the Council, trusted the promises of peace. We were betrayed. It will not happen twice. The meeting with Chancellor Go Daeun went smoothly. The Velans signed the Concordat Treaty within 3 hours. They were the first member species of humanity's new galactic order. Others followed quickly. The Pelions, a species of winged beings. The Rockthar, massive creatures of living stone. The Whispers, beings of pure energy who communicated through electromagnetic fields. Within 2 weeks, 23 species had joined the Concordat, but others resisted. The Gorath Empire, a militaristic species that had been allies of the Vorath, refused Earth's terms. They sent a message declaring their independence and demanding that human fleets stay out of their territory. Kang Daeho received the message with no expression. "Captain Ryu Minjae," he said to the commander of Earth's peacekeeping forces, "take a squadron to Gorath space. Make it clear that we have no interest in their territory. We only ask that they sign a non-aggression pact." Ryu Minjae was 42 years old, a career military officer who had risen through the ranks during the Unification Wars. He was known for his calm demeanor and absolute reliability. "And if they refuse," he asked, "then demonstrate what happens to species who threaten Earth or our allies." Ryu Minjae took 10 warships to the Gorath border. He broadcast the offer of a non-aggression treaty. The Gorath responded by opening fire. It was a mistake. The Gorath had 100 ships at the border. They lasted 8 minutes. Ryu Minjae let 5 ships escape, carrying survivors back to Gorath Prime with news of what happened. 3 days later, the Gorath Emperor himself contacted Earth, begging to sign the non-aggression pact. The message was clear. Join the Concordat and prosper. Stay independent and sign treaties. Threaten humanity and die. The galaxy learned quickly, but administering the new order was about more than just military force. Song Yuna, the coordinator of humanitarian efforts, arrived at the Vorath homeworld with a fleet of supply ships. The Vorath had been devastated by the war. Their military was gone. Their economy was in ruins. Millions faced starvation. Song Yuna was 50 years old, a former doctor who had spent decades working in disaster zones during Earth's unification period. She had seen the worst humanity could do to itself. She had also seen how people could rebuild. "We are here to help," she told the Vorath civilian government, which had seized power after the military's collapse. The Vorath leader, a female named Skara, stared at her in confusion. "You destroyed our fleets, killed our warriors. Why would you help us now?" "Because your people are not guilty of your leader's crimes," Song Yuna replied. "The civilians, the children, those who had no part in the conspiracy, they do not deserve to suffer. Humanity knows the difference between justice and revenge." The supply ships unloaded food, medicine, and construction materials. Human engineers helped rebuild infrastructure. Doctors treated the wounded and sick. The same thing happened on Clixon worlds, on shale colonies, on every world touched by the war. The galaxy watched, confused. Humanity had crushed the 3 dominants without mercy. Now they were helping rebuild them? It made no sense. But to Go Daeun and Kang Daeho, it made perfect sense. They were showing the galaxy that humanity could be generous to those who deserved it, and merciless to those who did not. 6 months after Park Ji-woo's death, the Terran Concordat held its first General Assembly. 41 species had joined. Another 23 had signed non-aggression pacts. The assembly met on a new station, built by human engineers in orbit around a neutral world. It was smaller than the old council station, more efficient, less grand. Yoon Hana had been appointed the first arbiter of justice, responsible for mediating disputes and ensuring fairness. She stood before the assembly, her scars visible, a reminder of what had started this all. "We gather today to build something new," she said. "Not a council of dominance, where the strong rule the weak. Not a council of lies, where betrayal is answered with empty words. We build a concordat of truth, where species are equal, where disputes are settled through discussion, not war, where those who break the peace face real consequences. She paused, looking at the assembled aliens. So many different forms. So many different cultures. But make no mistake, she continued. This peace is built on strength. Earth will defend any member species, as we would defend ourselves. Any attack on one is an attack on all. And anyone who threatens the Concordat will learn what humanity does to its enemies. The Assembly voted unanimously to adopt the Park Ji-woo Memorial Doctrine, named for the man whose death had changed everything. Diplomacy first. Peace, whenever possible. But betrayal answered with overwhelming force. Kang Dae-ho watched the vote from Earth. He sat alone in his office, looking at a picture of Park Ji-woo from before the Unification Wars, when they were both young soldiers fighting for a better world. "We did it, old friend," he said quietly. "Not the way you wanted, not with your kindness and your hope, but we gave them your peace. Our way." He stood and walked to the memorial hall that had been built to honor Park Ji-woo and the 34 others who died at the council station. Their names were carved into a wall of black stone. The treaty, stained with Park Ji-woo's blood, was preserved in a transparent case. Kang Dae-ho placed his hand on the case. "The galaxy wanted to see what humans do when pushed," he said. "We showed them. We showed them we can be the most peaceful species in the universe. Or the most dangerous. It was their choice, which one they met." He turned and left the memorial, walking back to the command center. There was still work to do. Always work. New species were requesting to join the Concordat every day. Trade routes needed protection. Disputes needed mediation. A few rebellious factions still thought they could challenge humanity's authority. They would learn, just as the Vorath, Klixen, and Shael had learned. Earth had come to the stars, seeking friends. They had been betrayed. But from that betrayal, they had built something stronger than the old council had ever been. An order based not on fear of the strong, but on respect for justice. And at the heart of it all was a simple truth that every species in the galaxy now understood. Humanity would rather have peace than war. Would rather negotiate than fight. Would rather build than destroy. But if you forced them to war, if you betrayed their trust, if you killed their leaders and expected them to bow, you would face the full fury of a species that had spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of survival. The three dominants had learned that lesson too late. The rest of the galaxy learned it just in time. And Park Ji-woo's dream of a peaceful galaxy was achieved, though not in the way he had imagined. It was a peace built on the ashes of those who had tried to destroy it. A peace enforced by the species they had tried to murder. But it was peace, and it would last. Because now, everyone knew what happened to those who broke it. They had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this possibility since the first alien contact. They did not know about the weapons hidden in dark corners of the solar system. They did not know about the technology humanity had developed and never shown. Most of all, they did not understand what they had done. They had given humanity permission to be what it once was, what it had fought so hard to rise above. They had made humanity angry, and an angry humanity was the most dangerous thing in the universe.